In March 2026, the $4.4 billion Lunar Gateway program met a sudden end. The orbital station, designed with international partners over nearly a decade to serve as a transfer hub for astronauts, was canceled. The collateral damage extended to the launch architecture itself. The exploration upper stage for the Space Launch System rocket was scrapped, wiping out billions of dollars in sunk costs and development time overnight. Years of delicate agreements with the European, Japanese, and Canadian space agencies were tossed aside. Entrenched hardware supply chains across the aerospace sector were severed without warning. NASA has replaced 50 years of legacy hardware procurement with an aggressive, calculated demolition of its own internal structure. The man driving this demolition is billionaire and newly confirmed NASA Administrator Jared Isaacman. He views the agency as a bloated legacy enterprise, drowning in long timelines and massive cost overruns that require immediate, aggressive restructuring. His playbook is a 62-page manifesto called Project Athena. It is designed to strip away layers of internal bureaucracy, halt what he considers duplicative spending, and force a hyper-agile, mission-first mindset onto the federal workforce. Project Athena trades the stability of old government architecture for a high-stakes gamble on commercial speed and frontier physics. The immediate objective of this new ignition strategy is constructing a $20 to $30 billion permanent moon base at the Lunar South Pole by the 2030s. To build it, the agency is bypassing traditional cost-plus development pipelines. Instead, NASA is handing massive, fixed-price contracts to commercial providers to deliver heavy surface landers and habitats. That strategy includes a $75 million subcontract for the Moonfall mission, tasking Firefly Aerospace with dropping a fleet of heavy-duty drones directly into the moon's permanently shadowed craters. Operating hopper-style drones in the vacuum and total darkness of the Lunar South Pole requires engineering an entirely new flight regime. Under the ignition plan, the lunar surface serves as the foundational proving ground for a privatized industrial space economy. The crown jewel of the ignition plan is Space Reactor 1 Freedom, scheduled for launch in 2028. This rendering illustrates the reactor module, heat pipes, and thermal radiators. Utilizing nuclear electric propulsion, the fission reactor generates 20 kilowatts of electricity to power highly efficient electric thrusters. This infographic lays out the mission's aggressive timeline. By maintaining constant thrust, SR-1 Freedom will travel from Earth to Mars in approximately 1 year. It also carries a highly specialized payload to the Red Planet, the Skyfall mission, featuring 3 next-generation Ingenuity-class helicopters. This diagram shows Skyfall's primary operational objective. The helicopters will deploy ground-penetrating radar to map subsurface water ice, securing resources for future human landing sites. Flying this reactor to Mars will also validate the telemetry needed to build Lunar Reactor 1, the surface fission system slated to power the moon base through the 14-day lunar night. This architecture represents an acceleration of human space exploration, achieving mission milestones decades ahead of legacy NASA schedules. On Earth, the method used to finance this futuristic hardware is politically explosive and allegedly illegal. A 2026 House Science Committee report titled Mission Aborted outlines startling accusations against agency leadership. It claims NASA succumbed to pressure from the Office of Management and Budget, unilaterally implementing the president's 2026 budget request without authorization from Congress. To pay for the ignition architecture, the agency actively enforced a 24% overall budget reduction and severed funding for legacy programs, effectively gutting NASA's science budget by 47%. The 2026 report frames these budget shifts as a deliberate defiance of legislative oversight, bypassing the laws that govern federal spending to enforce a single man's vision. By bypassing the legislature, Isaacman's restructuring triggered a full-blown constitutional crisis over the separation of powers. Congress holds the exclusive power of the purse. By reallocating funds internally for massive fixed-price commercial contracts, the agency spent money lawmakers never appropriated. This ignited intense political warfare, forcing Isaacman into real-time confrontations with furious lawmakers during congressional testimonies. The administrator is taking the Silicon Valley ethos of move fast and break things and applying it directly to federal budget law. He is betting that if he can deploy nuclear engines and lunar drones fast enough, The resulting public awe and tangible hardware will shield him from the legal fallout. The hardware is real, and the timeline is moving. The question is whether the spectacular reality of the ignition future will protect Isaacman, or if the enraged political establishment will dismantle his new empire before it leaves the launch pad.